Hi, it's Miss McCloskey back with Section 4 of Chapter 1 of All Quiet on the Western Front. Hopefully you're reading these things in order, but you can always go back and check something that if maybe you didn't understand or that you need to clarify or to look for more vocabulary words, etc. Remember, the two challenges for before this chapter and this chapter had to do with the précis and understanding what that first paragraph was all about. In this module, you'll have to do that challenge for the literature challenge, and challenge number 2, which has to do with the exposition of the plot, round and flat characters, vocabulary log, and finally, imagery logs. Okay, so you're going to find 5 words that are images that really have larger meaning. And all of these things are helping us understand what the bigger meaning of what the author wants us to understand, which is a theme of the book or a message. Okay, so here's section 4, and I'll remind you again at the end of this to finish your challenge. This is the literature part of your challenge for this module. You'll have 2 weeks to do this and all the other challenges from the other presentations. So I'm on page 13, I think. Let me make sure. I'm on page 13. I don't know if your book has the same thing. In the last chapter, and last section of this chapter, we talked about nationalism and teachers and how people had different views of going to war. People who stayed at home and people who actually went. Here we go. Before going over to see Kemrich, we pack up his things. He will need them on the way back. In the dressing station, there is great activity. Dressing station is a hospital out in the field in war. It reeks, as ever, of carbolic, pus, and sweat. We are accustomed to a good deal in the billets, but this makes us feel faint. We ask for Kemrich. He lies in a large room and receives us with feeble expressions of joy and helpless agitation. While he was unconscious, someone had stolen his watch. Mueller shakes his head. I always told you that nobody should carry as good a watch as that. Mueller is rather crude and tactless. Otherwise, he would hold his tongue, for anyone can see that Kemrich will never come out of this place again. Whether he finds his watch or not will make no difference. At the most, one will only be able to send it to his people. How goes it, Franz? asks Kropp. Kemrich's head sinks. Not so bad, but I have such a damned pain in my foot. We look at his bed covering. His leg lies under a wire basket. The bed covering arches over it. I kick Mueller on the shin, for he's just about to tell Kemrich what the orderlies told us outside, that Kemrich has lost his foot. The leg is amputated. He looks ghastly, yellow and wan. In his face there are already the strained lines that we know so well. We have seen them now hundreds of times. They are not so much lines as marks. Under the skin, the life no longer pulses. It has already pressed out the boundaries of the body. Death is working from within. It already has command in his eyes. Here lies our comrade Kemrich, who a little while ago was roasting horseflesh with us and squatting in the shell holes. He it is still, and yet it is not he any longer. His features become uncertain and faint, like a photographic plate from which 2 pictures have been taken. Even his voice sounds like ashes. I think of the time when we went away. His mother, a good plump matron, brought him to the station. She wept continually. Her face was bloated and swollen. Kemrich felt embarrassed, for she was the least composed of all. She simply dissolved into fat and water. Then she caught sight of me and took hold of my arm again and again and implored me to look after Franz out there. Indeed, he did have a face like a child, and such frail bones that after 4 weeks pack-carrying, he already had flat feet. But how can a man look? I'm sorry, let me reread that line. But how can a man look after anyone in the field? Now you will soon be going home, says Crop. You would have had to wait at least 3 or 4 months for your leave. Cambridge nods. I cannot bear to look at his hands. They are like wax. Under the nails is the dirt of the trenches. It shows through blue-black, like poison. It strikes me that these nails will continue to grow, like lean, fantastic cellar plants, long after Kemmerich breathes no more. I see the pictures before me. They twist themselves into corkscrews and grow, and with them the hair on the decaying skull, just like grass in a good soil, just like grass. How can it be possible? So here he's talking about what will happen to Kemmerich after he dies. His nails and hair will continue to grow. Biologically, that's what happens. And he can't stand the sight of it or the image of it. Mueller leans over. We have brought your things, Franz. Kemmerich signs with his hands. Put them under the bed. Mueller does so. Kemmerich starts on again about the watch. How can one calm him without making him suspicious? Mueller reappears with a pair of airman's boots. They are fine English boots of soft yellow leather, which reach to the knees and lace up all the way. They are the things to be coveted. That means you got to want them. Mueller is delighted at the sight of them. He matches their soles against his own clumsy boots and says, Will you be taking them with you then, Franz? We all three have the same thought. Even if he should get better, he would be able to use only one. They are no use to him. But as things are now, it is a pity that they should stay here. The orderlies will of course grab them as soon as he is dead. Won't you leave them with us, Mueller repeats. Kemmerich doesn't want to. They are his most prized possessions. Well, we could exchange, suggests Mueller. Out here, one can make some use of them. Still, Kemmerich is not to be moved. I wonder why that is. Why does Kemmerich not want to let go of his boots? Things that he likes the most. I tread on Mueller's foot. Reluctantly, he puts the fine boots back under the bed. We talk a little more and then take our leave. Cheerio, Franz. I promise him to come back in the morning. Mueller talks of doing so, too. He's thinking of the lace-up boots and means to be on the spot. Kemmerich groans. He is feverish. We get hold of an orderly outside and ask him to give Kemmerich a dose of morphia. That's like morphine, to get rid of the pain. He refuses. If we were to give morphia to everyone, we would have to have tubs full. You only attend to officers properly, says Kropp viciously. I hastily intervene and give him a cigarette. He takes it. Are you usually allowed to give it then? I ask him. He is annoyed. If you don't think so, why do you ask? I press a few more cigarettes into his hand. Do us the favor. Well, all right, he says. Kropp goes in with him. He doesn't trust him and wants to see. We wait outside. Mueller returns to the subject of the boots. They would fit me perfectly. In these boots, I get blister after blister. Do you think he will last until tomorrow after drill? If he passes out in the night, we know where the boots. Kropp returns. Do you think? He asks. Done for, said Mueller emphatically. We go back to the huts. I think of the letter that I must write tomorrow to Kemmerich's mother. I am freezing. I could do with a tot of rum. Mueller pulls up some grass and chews it. Suddenly, little Kropp throws his cigarette away, stamps on it savagely, and looking around him with a broken and distracted face, stammers, Damn shit, the damn shit. We walk on for a long time. Kropp has calmed himself. We understand. He saw red. Out there, every man gets like that sometime. What has Kantorok written to you? Mueller asks him. He laughs. We are the Iron Youth. We all three smile bitterly. Kropp rails. He is glad that he can speak. Yes, that's the way they think, these 100,000 Kantoreks. Iron Youth. Youth. We are none of us more than 20 years old, but young, youth, that is long ago. We are old folk. So, we already note some changes in these young men. Don't forget they're 19 and 20 years old. So, like some of your older siblings, or how old you'll be very soon. They were recruited in those particular days. Okay, so finish the challenges for this module. This part of the module is the literary portion of All Quiet on the Western Front. Chapter 1. Exposition is a challenge. The précis in the beginning was a challenge. Vocabulary that has meaning was a challenge. And imagery. 1, 2, 3, go. Peace.